You're gonna want to sit down. This video is gonna get really weird really quick. I don't know if you guys remember, but back in 2020, there was a real pandemic going around that severely impacted the lives of many people. A lot of people were out of jobs, lost a lot of money. It was just a bad time all around. Oh, you think I'm talking about COVID? No, I'm talking about generative AI. You genuinely could not go onto a social media platform like Twitter or Instagram without being bombarded by some new tech startup that's gonna revolutionize the industry with their fancy new AI technology that's so capable of so much more than anything you've ever seen before in your life, and it's just a brick. That's wrong half the time. We're talking AI fridges, AI smart glasses, AI girlfriends, which we don't talk about. We do not talk about those. One of these in particular, though, stood out to me the most, and that was AI-generated books. People would go ahead and ask an AI to generate an entire novel for them, along with a cover for it, and then they would sell it on places like Amazon for quite a hefty amount of money. Luckily, though, this didn't really stick around for too long. A lot of people couldn't make money off of it because, let's be honest here, who the hell wants to read an AI-generated book? So it did start to fizzle out over time. Or so I thought. Flash forward to about a year ago now, and me and a couple of my friends were in a Discord call when we discovered an AI-generated book known as Reprogrammed. And as you can tell by that cover art, we aren't getting monetized. Reprogrammed, put simply, is a book about turning unsuspecting young men into, that's right, you guessed it, femboys. Hell yes, this book is fucking amazing. And if you think I'm exaggerating, guess again, bucko. That is the main tagline of the book. That's the main selling point. That's what the author wants you to know what the book is about. I'm realizing now this is a weird video, oh my god. Now this really piqued my interest, mainly because I love femboys, but also partially because it got me wondering, what if someone like me, who never went to college and the most creative writing experience they have is from AP Literature back in high school 4 years ago, what if someone like me were to go head to head against an AI to see who could write the better book? But before we get into that, we're gonna have to see exactly what we're up against here. Scout out the competition, if you will. So, against my better judgment, I went ahead and read the entirety of Reprogrammed. I do not recommend reading the entirety of Reprogrammed. I wanted to read through all of Reprogrammed to try to figure out what elements really make it apparent that this book is AI generated, other than the sexy cover art, of course. And while I did get a lot of good information from it, it was just way too much to put into a singular YouTube video. I ended up, my first take was like well over an hour long, my second take not much better. So for the sake of your attention, I'm gonna throw up Subway Surfers, and I'm gonna go through the 3 main points I took away that will be doing better for our own writings. I do have notes of all of the chapters of Reprogrammed, including a quick summary and all of my thoughts. If you want to go ahead and read through that first, link will be in the description. The first thing that really stood out to me on surface level was that the plot of this book is fucking insane. It started with Bill, the main character, discovering a way to use an algorithm that he made for a social media company to essentially instill beliefs into people and essentially create a way to brainwash people into believing certain things, which, like, you would think the plot of the book would go along the lines of, oh, Bill starts to discover the moral quandaries of, you know, literally brainwashing people, and debates on if this is good or if this is evil. You would expect it to go along that route, right? That is until he gets hired to stop a war by turning the military of a country into femboys, so that way they don't have the will to fight anymore. But then it turns out that the person who hired Bill to do so was evil, so Bill goes ahead and turns him into a femboy, and then they have sex. And that saves the world for some reason. So, like, the plot of this book is way better than what I was thinking. How does someone go from writing a book that has some potential, albeit not a lot of potential, but at least some potential, how does someone go from that and doing a full-blown 180, uh-oh, we're making people gay now so we can fight them easier, without using AI? Or a truckload of mushrooms. I do want to preface, I think this is one of my weaker points, seeing as how it could just be chalked up to lazy or poor writing, but as we're going to see when we're making our own AI-generated book, this appears to be a trend. But nonetheless, One of the things we will need to focus on when making our own books is just having a consistent narrative, I guess. The second thing that stood out to me was that there were basically no morals or themes in this book, or at the very least, they were inconsistent. For some background, the author describes themselves to be very pro-trans and pro-LGBT. They, I believe, themselves are trans, though when I went to fact check this, I couldn't find the source I had read that from, so I could be incorrect, and I apologize if so. Either way, you would expect a book dealing with things like this would be portrayed in a very pro-trans and pro-LGBT community way. But in all honesty, it was questionable at best. The book would consistently use slurs against trans people in very derogatory ways. Pretty much every time a trans character was introduced, they'd be immediately sexualized, with some of them even being described as starting up OnlyFans the moment they transition, which, like, I can't be the only person who finds that to be, like, incredibly transphobic, right? And at the very end of the book, Bill decides to delete his algorithm and give everyone that he used the algorithm on a normal one again. And I kid you not, the moment he does this, I think the book describes it to take like a week-long process, every single person who transitioned because of Bill's algorithm immediately detransitions. Which, like, is crazy. Hey, Russian.
Yeah?
Would you say it's transphobic to have one of the main plot points in a story be that after an algorithm change, stop pushing woke content, a bunch of trans people start detransitioning and become cis again due to no longer being influenced by social media in that aspect?
Yeah.
Lit. Wanna play Fortnite? So now it's pretty much saying that trans people only exist because of social media influence, and that they only do it for sex, which does not align at all with what the author claims. I would argue that this is one of my stronger points, because I can't imagine anyone who's in the right state of mind, who's truly pro-trans and fully in support of the LGBT community, I can't imagine anyone like that writing a book like this with these sort of themes. It doesn't make any sense. It feels more like what you would get if you told an AI to write a book like this and then didn't proofread any of it. The final thing that stood out to me, and this one's gonna be pretty quick, the book was so goddamn uncomfortable to read. This kind of builds off the previous point a little bit, but throughout the entire book, there were moments that were just, I guess the word is cringy. The entire book, it was painting Bill, our main character guy, as like some sort of huge hero who saved the day and can do no wrong. But there were some moments where this guy was just straight up a sexual predator. There was a moment at the very end of the book, it was supposed to be like the wrap up the book, right? The epilogue. And Bill, for whatever reason during this, just straight up stalks a woman using the GPS feature of the social media app he works for through multiple bars in his city, and uses the social media app to pry into her personal life and uses that information to trick her into dating him. And this is supposed to be cool as hell. So yeah, I guess the final point is just don't make the book weird as hell, which should be easy. I hope. God, I hope. Now that that's done, we can finally get on with the main point of the video. We're like 8.5 minutes into this, and I haven't even gotten to, like, you know, the whole reason you clicked on this video in the first place. So, you know, I should probably get on with that. For this experiment, we're gonna be creating 3 different books. One that was created purely by AI, another that was created purely by myself, and a third that was created by a mix of us both. I was trying to do like JoJo poses there. I don't think it worked, I'm gonna be real. Oh, also, if you wanna go ahead and guess which book is which, I will have links in the description so you can go ahead and read them ahead of time before I go ahead and tell you. Maybe while you're down there, you could, like, you know, subscribe and stuff. I don't fucking know, man. Like, ooh. The AI we're going to be using for this project is known as Novel AI, which, as far as I knew, was a pretty decent AI. I mean, it's literally all about making novels, and it was used by the likes of Doug for storytelling games that he played with his Twitch chat a couple years back. But As we're gonna find out, it might have been a mistake using this AI for this experiment. We'll start by covering the purely AI-generated book, since it's also the one I started with. For this, I wanted to keep as hands-off as possible, really let the AI work its magic, so I really just hit the generate button over and over again until we got a pretty cohesive story. And when I started off with this one, I was getting pretty nervous pretty quickly. The plot of this book was shaping up to be pretty similar to that of ReZero, or if you're not a total fucking weeb like myself, it was kind of similar to the Lazarus Project. The main character, who never gets a name, but that's besides the point, goes to a concert with friends and ends up dying at it, only to find themselves waking up the morning of as though nothing had happened, with all of her memories intact, though her friends have no recollection of it happening. I won't lie. Very good concept for a book. There's a reason why media like this tends to pop off like it does. And I was low-key stressing the fuck out. I was really nervous that I was gonna have to like lock in order to beat the AI. I mean, like, shit, I have no experience with writing and it's already got like a great concept. So I was nervous. That is until the AI got around halfway through the book and it just kind of forgot what it was writing about, so that was pretty cool. The story somehow went from like a pretty decent time loop story, all things considered, to somehow being about ghosts and possible possession and werewolves that should honestly be on like a predator list. It got really weird really quickly is what I'm trying to say. That being said, the book is pretty much trash, all things considered. It ended up getting to the point I ended up spending like, what do I have down, 2 weeks trying to get it to generate something decent to no avail. It ended up getting to the point where I asked my Discord server what I should do because I was genuinely running out of options, and we eventually just agreed that I should just let it generate until it found like a pretty decent ending spot and then just upload that. Overall, the book is about a 2 out of 10 in my opinion, and the only reason I'm giving it that is because the title it came up with is hilarious. Fucking wacky dream. There it is. There it is. There it is. Oh, hell yeah. Second book I decided to work on was the one that was a split between me and AI, and I won't lie, it was a lot better to work on than I anticipated. I wouldn't call it fun exactly, but after the pure AI generated one, I was expecting this one to be just as bad, but it did go fairly smoothly. For it, I decided to let the AI go ahead and generate the first paragraph or two, so that way it can go ahead and establish a plot, and then I would go ahead and switch out every other paragraph with it, so that way we can go ahead and get a pretty even split between how much how much I wrote and how much the AI generated. And the plot very quickly evolved into being kind of like this apocalyptic war setting. It was actually very similar to that of Resident Evil 2, now that I'm thinking about it. The main character of the book, Clint, was just living his best life, you know, sitting on his porch, drinking some brewskis, watching the peasants down below do their work, when all of a sudden, his city was bombed, and he hardly survived his apartment complex collapsing, and now he has to go ahead and escape the city that he used to call home, during which he finds out that the ones responsible for bombing his city was his own government. So now he has to find out why. Kind of a fire plot, you know? I think the experience with writing this book is about like a 6 out of 10, maybe. The AI did help in some cases with like writer's block, but once again, I don't even know how to articulate it really. I think the book as a whole is fairly all right. Like, it wasn't anything crazy, but the things it did do, it did pretty decently in my opinion. But once again, working with the AI was just so painful for no reason, and I don't get why. I think for this time it could have been a mix of my fault and the AI's though. I really wanted to push this narrative of, oh, some sort of virus broke out in this town, and because of that, like some deadly virus that's infected a bunch of the civilians, and because of that, the government decided to take it upon themselves to basically bomb the place down, level it out, so that way the virus doesn't spread to the general populace. That was kind of the plot of the book I wanted to go with. But the AI really desperately wanted to paint the story out like it was a genocide that was happening in the book, which We have enough of those in the world already, let's not make a fictional story about it now. Because of this, the majority of my time was once again spent just hitting the regenerate button over and over again and editing out little things that didn't make a whole lot of sense. And I think because of that, the time saved from using an AI to help write part of it, the time that was saved by doing that ended up being equaled out from the time I had to spend fixing it. Still, not a bad book, all things considered. Final book now, and I would like to preface that I don't like to toot my own horn. I find myself to be a pretty humble person. I would even go as far as to say I'm probably the most humble person in the world. But I think I killed it with this book. I'm just gonna say it. I think I killed it. I think I did. Now I get it. I might be a little biased here. This is a competition and this is my horse in the race, but you know, I'm gonna stick by what I say. I think that this book is a lot better than the other two. There's something about it that feels a lot more personalized, is maybe the word. I'm not sure if that's the right word, actually. The whole point of the book is that the book itself is an unreliable narrator. We don't see things for how they truly are, but instead for how the main character, E, feels about them. He is a young adult, fresh out of high school, who, due to trauma of their past life, socially isolates themselves, and in turn fell down the deep pit of depression to the point they couldn't even go outside anymore, and their only safe space left in the world was their bedroom. The plot follows E wanting to change, wanting to go outside, wanting to talk to someone, wanting to just even feed themselves, but to no avail. They just can't find the willpower to do it all on their own. And because they no longer have anyone in their lives to support them, they fall even deeper. That is until the very end, where they receive a single text from an old friend checking up on them, giving them the final push they need to better themselves. Call me Gordon Ramsay in the kitchen, because I think I fucking cooked with this book. Now, I will admit, looking back on it, there are a lot of things that I could have done better in this book. We're not talking, like, a little bit better. Ooh, change up some wording here. No, there's a lot of things I could have done differently. Creating a book this in-depth, where even the most minute details matter, is a little out of my skill level. Not a little, actually, it's a lot out of my skill level, but I think that's why it's the most memorable, at least in my eyes. The other two books, I wasn't really able to challenge myself in any meaningful way when I had a bunch of AIs basically being my yes men throughout the entire thing. So when I didn't have the restraint of using those AIs, I popped off a little bit. And yes, it might have been a bigger project than what I'd be able to handle, but how else are you supposed to improve in something if you just stick to what you're comfortable with? Either way, it's not my place to decide which of these books is the best. So I'm going to upload them onto the internet for a few months, and we'll come back then and see what the results are. It hasn't actually been 3 months. I lied for continuity's sake since I forgot to record the last section before publishing the books. The results are in, and it is weirdly close for which book actually won the competition. I uploaded them each to different sites such as Wattpad, Tumblr, Silk Road, not Silk Road. No, that's the illegal drug place. Wait, what am I thinking of? Wait, hold up, not Silk Road. I swear to God I didn't upload them to Royal Road. I uploaded them to Royal Road, not the other one. But before we get into that, I got some professional opinions on the book. Some people that are very well versed in literature and have had some pretty big influences in the writing industry as a whole. I'm fucking with you, they are my Discord mod. For this, we're gonna be keeping things simple and going with a point-based system, where the book that the mod liked the most will get 2 points, the book that they liked the second most will get 1 point, and the book they liked the least will get 0 points. We're gonna be starting off with Russian, who is my head mod and has somehow snuck her way into this video twice now. Russian started off by reading the mixed book, saying that while it was pretty good, it did feel like it was written by someone who didn't know what they were talking about, which does make sense, because I have never been bombed before. She then went to shit on fucking Wacky Dream, which no one is surprised about, meaning Safe Space was her #1. She even went on to praise it quite a little bit with how hard she related it to her own personal life, which I'm happy to hear. Hold up, that came across wrong. I'm not happy to hear that she related to it because it is about trauma. I'm happy to hear that the point of the book got across is what I meant, and that all my mods are respectful enough to not, like, overly incel my writing Wait, what the fuck is on? Wait, is that? Whoa, you miss a space or something? Like, great thinking, like it's jar. Please tell me. AI would not. Anyway, last general complaint I have is that your intensity like blood. You set up a fucking amazing string of water. Why the fuck? It's so fun. Like, what was the point of figurative language if you're just using it for shits and giggles? Fuck you, bro. So, I guess not everyone liked Safe Space that much. All jokes aside, this is exactly what I was looking for with this experiment. I wanted people to absolutely rip these books apart so we can see just how much the AI helps. And Fip did that perfectly here. We're really good friends. He's been my mod for a long time now, and I greatly appreciate his help with this project. That being said, if you were to, like, I don't know, find him down in the comments below and spam him with, like, bad boy Fip, I would feel absolutely fucking no remorse whatsoever. Make it so this man cannot sleep at night without getting a ping on his phone of people shaming him. I'm not gonna go through everything Fip commented on because it would take literal hours. Like, that's not even an exaggeration of him being quite real. So I'll just give the synopsis. He ended up rating Darkest It's Ever Been first due to the writing being fairly solid and the fact that the book kept you guessing the entire time about what the plot was, which makes sense because it fits his personality pretty well. He's a little emo boy, a little emo femboy. Now for Safe Space, he was not a fan. He said that I would focus on a bunch of minute details for no reason and then wouldn't even do a good job describing them, which is very fair. One of the main things I tried to do for Safe Space was have a bunch of these details change over time to reflect E's mental state. And while that is a fire idea in my opinion, I do agree with Fip that my execution could have been way better. And as for fucking Wacky Dream, no one likes this book, man. It's so bad. Now on to the opinions of the masses. I did do a poll in my Discord server, which you should definitely go ahead and join, about which book they liked the most, and I am realizing now, looking at the results, that all of my viewers are illiterate, because fucking Wacky Dream somehow tied for first with Safe Space. So that's pretty cool. And like I said, I went ahead and published these books on a bunch of different websites that people go to for stuff like this. Reading. There's a word for stuff like that. It's called fucking reading, Border. What the hell am I saying? So we'll be counting each view of the book as a point for that book. And once again, the results were like weirdly close for some reason. All of the books were within 1 or 2 views of each other, and in the end, the results ended up balancing out pretty close once again. So I guess technically that means that Safe Space won, but I don't know, it's just by such a thin margin that doesn't it feel a little anticlimactic? Like, I was really hoping by the end of this to have, like, a clear-cut winner. Me. I was hoping it would be a clear-cut winner of me. But I don't know, it's just by such a thin margin that it just doesn't sit that well with me. But I guess there's not a lot that can be done about it. Right? Wrong. As of just 5 days ago on a site known as Scribble Hub, Safe Space out of nowhere gained 244 views, putting it a total of 203 points ahead of Darkest It's Ever Been, solidifying its spot in #1. That is how you make an actually pro-trans book get fucked, you shitty little clanker. Good job on making it this far in the video. It's a real accomplishment at this point. If I'm being quite honest with you, this video took me far too long to get out. It's been like 6-7 months now. I don't want to see a single fucking comment. It took me exactly 5 months to get this video out, and while I do think that is a bit long, I think the quality of this video is just a whole lot better than my other ones. I feel like I changed up my editing style a little bit for this one, and I was a bit nervous going into it, but looking back at the final product, I think I low-key kind of cooked with it, but we'll see. I swear the next video is going to be out significantly quicker this time, and I actually mean it. Here in about a week or so, I'm going to be doing a stream here on YouTube where I'm going to be working on it, so, like, you know, you should subscribe so you get notified and can, like, join that stream and watch me struggle. Maybe while you're down there subscribing, you could, like, oh, I don't know, join the Discord server. I mentioned it a lot throughout this video, I know, but you do get sneak peeks on my next video and better notifications on when I'm going to be streaming next, so, you know, I really don't have a lot more to say for this outro.
What you gonna do with